Hey, welcome back to Stock Talk with Erik Anthony. For today, I want to be discussing with you guys the results of a new study that came out highlighting solid-state batteries, its impact on climate change, and the EV market. The study was conducted by Minviro of Europe. And a little bit about Minviro. Minviro is a group of geologists that work with multiple companies in the raw materials sector to help assess, quantify, and mitigate the impacts of these raw materials. Some of the companies they worked with are Tsla, Pilbara Minerals, Epsilon, Compass Minerals, and Blackstone Minerals, to name a few. Today we'll also be discussing some companies that I feel will be greatly impacted by some of the findings, including Tsla, BYD, Alpp, American Battery Technology Company. Also want to review with you guys the impact I believe it will have here in the United States and what steps our administration will be taking to help minimize some of our reliance on foreign countries with regard to how we mine, refine raw materials out our way here in the United States. Now, before we get into this battery and raw material discussion, how about we just review really quickly what some of these precious metals that are heavily sought out in today's market. We have lithium, manganese, graphite, nickel, and cobalt, just to name a few of. Let's hop straight into the study. Solid state batteries can further boost climate benefits of EVs. The new technology can reduce the carbon footprint of an electric car battery by up to 39%. Solid state batteries can reduce the carbon footprint of electric vehicle batteries by almost 2/5, further increasing EVs' advantages over fossil fuel vehicles. That's according to research commissioned by Transport Environment from Minviro, a company specialized in raw materials cycle analysis, which compared emerging solid-state technology to current battery chemistries. A solid-state battery which stores more energy with less materials can reduce the already decreasing carbon footprint of an electric car battery by further 24%. The analysis compares a NMC 811 solid-state battery, which is one of the most promising chemistries being developed, to current lithium-ion technology. Solid-state technology uses solid ceramic materials instead of liquid electrolytes to carry electric current, also making the batteries lighter, faster to charge, and eventually cheaper. Battery manufacturers forecast that solid-state batteries will be used in EVs in the second half of the decade. Okay, right there, the second half of the decade. We know that Alpp plans on getting their pilot plant by the end of 2023, or the end of Q1 2023. We know that we should get an announcement of where the big facility will be made, hopefully next quarter. And so if you put those two timeframes together, ideally, we would hopefully get mass production up and running by 2024, hopefully, and start seeing some true turnaround on it by 2025. Cecilia Mattia, Clean Vehicles Officer at T&E, said, "Electric vehicles are already far better for the planet from burning oil, and the carbon footprint of batteries is falling every year. But solid-state technology is a step change because their higher energy density means far less materials and therefore far less emissions are needed to make them." That also stood out to me about solid state battery making. I think for some of us, we want to be a little bit more future minded and think about what steps are being taken by some of our favorite companies on achieving these long-term goals. For Alpp, one of their subsidiaries, ElecJet, we all know that they are heavily invested in the production of solid state batteries. Right now they have the AX01, the AX02. They're working on getting a new prototype facility built out in San Jose that will open up at the end of Q1 2023 to put all their focus on the development of the AX03. And by the end of Q2, we should hope, or by the end of Q3 2022, we should get an idea of where their major production facility will take place and what city that they plan on doing that, so that they can get into mass production for their solid state batteries. Let's say, continuing with ElecJet as our prime example, if they're able to achieve this, and we have an administration that is putting part of that infrastructure bill in making sure that we can achieve our carbon emission goals and our carbon emission reduction goals at a much quicker rate with the use of ElecJet, then why wouldn't a company like Alpp and the subsidiary ElecJet be able to get their hands on some of that infrastructure bill money, or if not, a new bill may come in the future that allocates even more funds their way. The research also finds the new technology can reduce the climate impact of batteries even further. by 39% compared to current lithium batteries. If solid-state batteries are made using the most sustainably sourced materials, new mining methods, including extracting lithium from geothermal wells, have significantly lower climate impacts than more commonly used sources such as lithium from hard rock mined in Australia and refined in China. Solid-state batteries could require up to 35% more lithium than the current lithium-ion technology, but far less graphite and cobalt are used. T&E said that the requirements in the EU's proposed batteries regulation for lithium to be sourced responsibly in terms of environmental and social impacts and recycled are a no regrets policy that will ensure there is enough supply for solid-state batteries. Mattia also had this to say: cleaning up the way we extract and process the raw materials in solid-state batteries will slash their climate impact even further. Improving the methods used in the supply chain will be key. The EU battery regulation is an opportunity to ensure that every battery made or sold in Europe is better sourced, has a lower carbon footprint, and is recycled at the end of its life. If we don't have the ability to mine at the rate that we would like to, or try to accumulate the amount of lithium, and I use lithium a lot because it's one of the highlighted metals in this process, but if we are unable to do this, what we will start to see is not only will we see the market start to price out, for example, right now, just with inflation, a lot of everything is priced up higher, right? Now, just imagine when we have a limited resource accessibility to these precious metals, just think of how much more we would have to increase the prices of these products, such as EVs, and how that would ultimately affect the market. As a consumer, most of us have had a car, but a lot of us have never even been behind the wheel of an electric vehicle. So you already need that education and that to take place, which in itself is not an easy task. Then you already have companies such as Ford that are dropping billions into the manufacturing of and revamping of some of their keystone products, such as the Ford F-150. You have new companies out there such as Rivian and Tesla and NIO and Polestar that are trying their very best at infiltrating the auto space market out here and trying to take some hold of that market share. But ultimately, none of that is going to be possible if these precious battery metals are not easily accessed on a domestic scale. But more importantly, the amount of manpower and labor that will go into it will also come with a much greater cost than any of us have ever foreseen. We have companies like ABML, for example, that you never know. They've already received some money from the state of Nevada, and they're already taking on some of the initiatives that the administration has asked with projects out in Nevada for some of the recycling that is coinciding with their pilot project that's being built right now. And if you guys want some updates or just some visuals on how far the plant has come, if you've been following this channel, you know we've been checking in on it from time to time, but check out some of these images right here to get a better idea of just how far along it's coming. Not only is lithium huge for companies like Tesla with their mass productions, whether it's their mega packs or their EVs, but we have companies out there like BYD that was, up until recently, heavily backed by Warren Buffett and Berkshire and all of them out there, and how it all coincides with the accessibility to lithium. Beneath BYD's stellar performance, a wrinkle is emerging: lithium supply. While it's been well telegraphed that a raw material shortage looms as price surge, the company has so far circumvented those cost pressures. It's been pushing a vertically integrated model, eyeing mines across the world, boosting production, making better batteries, and keeping a tight hold on its supply chain. Among all those factors is its grip on lithium production, and that has been the most uncertain. High material prices have been hitting China's industrial firms so hard that Beijing called for capping the rising lithium price and is planning policies to help downstream firms. BYD has been on a mission to get its hand on lithium mines and resources this year. The firm is connected with Youngri Co., one of China's first raw lithium compound miners. In March, it participated in a private placement in another miner, Changxin Lithium Group. As part of this, the firm will get discounted lithium compounds in the future. While both are likely to continue buying more mines in the Sichuan region, it isn't going to lead to immediate or guaranteed supply. Most of the quarries have future, not existing ore production capacity, and Shenzhen doesn't have full access to supplies in some of them. If you haven't seen my video regarding BYD, I highly suggest that you do. Just look on the list below and I go into a little more detail on how they plan and how they have been the leader in EV manufacturing, not only with cars, but with their buses and just fleets of all kinds, but more importantly, how they utilize lithium in their blade batteries. Even companies that are doing really well, they're all gearing up for a shortage when it comes to lithium. Another company that we will be discussing today will be Tsla. A recent article that came out with their thoughts on mining and whether or not they are going to continue to pursue their aspirations to get into the mining side of battery metals. The fundamental governor of the rate at which we can transition into sustainability is the rate at which we can grow the output of lithium-ion batteries. Tesla's entire lineup of electric vehicles relies on lithium-ion batteries for propulsion. Besides building cars, Tsla also provides stationary energy storage solutions such as PowerPack, which can provide supplementary or emergency electric supply to buildings. The car maker has even scaled up to the Megapack, an energy storage park which can provide off-grid electricity to up to 3,600 homes for an hour. There are three pillars to sustainable energy future. One is electric transport, the other is sustainable power generation, and the third is stationary battery energy storage. And there's clearly a global need for a large number of battery packs made from hundreds of lithium cells, but building these cells isn't easy. We don't want to go into the mining industry or the refining industry because the limitation is more lithium refinement than is actual mining. So you've got to take the ore that contains lithium and refine it to get it to the battery grade lithium hydroxide and lithium carbonate. In other words, mining isn't the only issue. Extraction of pure lithium from its ore is a bigger concern. It has to be extremely pure, otherwise you have a breakdown in the cell. And you can't have impurities in the cell because it would cause the cell to fail. So the challenge with a lot of the ingredients in lithium-ion batteries is that it's not the fundamental rarity of lithium. Lithium is very common. It's the most common element on Earth, but you've got to turn it into battery-grade lithium, and that's where the choke point is. For this reason, Musk hopes that the lithium supply problems wouldn't make it necessary for his company to get into lithium mining. Tesla's in it for the long run in the stationary energy storage business. According to Musk, around 3 LAKH gigawatt hours of energy storage is needed to fully transition the planet to sustainable energy. This translates to a steady supply of 15 terawatts of batteries every year for 20 years to reach this goal. At the moment, we are far from generating enough batteries for anything other than EVs. According to the data from Wood Mackenzie, the global production capacity stood at 600 GWh in 2021, with electric vehicles as the primary consumers of lithium-ion batteries. Global lithium battery production is rising rapidly, and its exponential growth is key to making electrical cars more affordable, closer to home, and NITI expects India's global demand for lithium to reach 260 gigawatt hours by 2030. The government has a production-linked incentive in place to accelerate local battery production. So this is very huge, and this is why it's very important that our administration can achieve and do what it seeks out to do with their new initiative, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. The United States says it will back miners to stop China's weaponization of battery metals. Developers of battery metals projects can win support from the US government as it seeks to counter the dominance of China in clean technology supply chains. Nations, including the United States, have raised concerns over the global concentration of refining and production capacity for key materials like lithium, rare earths, and cobalt, prompting President Joe Biden to invoke the 1950 Defense Production Act to encourage domestic production. Our concern is that critical minerals could be vulnerable to manipulation, as we've seen in other areas, or weaponization. In a meeting in Sydney with companies including BHP Group, Rio Tinto Group, and Linus Corp, Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm had said, "We are very serious about establishing strong relationships with Australia and with you and with your potential customers for offtake." The forecast for 2025 output and refining capacity in metric tons clearly indicates how China has a strong grip on this space, with Australia being behind in a close second. Now, if you look at the United States, as you can tell, the United States is vastly treading behind these other countries. Producers and nations, including Australia, can also access support through agencies, including the Department of Energy's Loan Programs Office. China accounts for almost 3/4 of manufacturing capacity for lithium-ion batteries needed for electric vehicles and renewable energy storage, and dominates steps throughout the supply chain, including the processing of a suite of key metals. The nation is also the world's dominant supplier of solar power equipment and is seeking to build out its market share in the emerging clean hydrogen sector. Cyber Resources, a Melbourne-based graphite producer with facilities in Mozambique and Louisiana, in April won a $107 million commitment from the Loan Programs Office. Rare earth producer Linus Rare Earths Ltd. In June signed a contract with the United States Department of Defense to establish a plant here in Texas. The Biden administration already has allocated vast amounts, including $6 billion as part of the infrastructure bill, that is all aimed at developing a U.S. battery supply chain and weaning the auto industry off its reliance on China, the leading producer of lithium-ion cells. Energy independence advocates have also pushed the administration to focus further upstream on mining and on minerals processing, a key step in the EV sector that's also largely dominated by China. The U.S. is already sharing information with countries seeking foreign funding for mining projects and allied governments, foreign mining companies, and financial institutions that can help kickstart projects. The State Department effort is part of a broader, longer-term Biden administration initiative to wean the U.S. and its allies from China and other countries it sees as misusing their market dominance or geopolitical leverage. Okay, well, that wraps up the importance of that study with regard to solid-state batteries, the importance of lithium and how it's affecting Tesla and their actions as a company, what our administration plans on doing to help sever our reliance on countries like China when it comes to these precious metals. And we also reviewed some of how I think some of these companies can benefit from some of this news. So I do hope that this video was informational for all you guys out there. And like always, thank you so much for checking in with Stock Talk with Erik Anthony, and I'll see you mañana.